So, I'm Hans van Regenmortel. I think this surname may sound like a kind of contemporary composition. Anyway, I'm happy to be here. I was even more happy when I passed the Eurorail border in Brussels because the policeman let me pass despite an ID card that was out of date.
Oh!
But maybe he thought this guy might have some useful ideas. It's up to you to decide later. So, Eersteklasconcerten, that's another mouthful of sounds. I think it makes no sense to translate this into English. When I would translate it literally, it would be called first-class concerts.
And also
So
first-class concerts.
First-class concerts. So this first class refers to the target group, which are children of 6 years old in Belgium. So the children that learn to read and write, so they are rather tiny, something like that maybe. In another sense, first class refers to the kind of musicians we cooperate with. So it's our really high-level musicians, renowned ensembles in Belgium. Now, when we talk about contemporary composed music, many people, ordinary people, or even musicians, maybe that are also ordinary people, musicians, but they might think of contemporary music as too abstract for 6 years olds, or too complex. But I think abstractness is never a feature of the music itself. It has only to do with a lack of experience. And as far as complexity is concerned, I think that that shouldn't be a problem either, because when a child is born, it is faced with the world in all its complexity from the first minute, and that happens to be no problem either. So, the only abstract music that exists, in my view, is the music that we can't imagine or remember. So when we want to confront such young children with contemporary composed music, we have to make this music tangible. Now, Eersteklasconcerten, it is something that happens here. Do you recognize the city? Where is it? Lee, you don't know it?
I do.
You
I'm waiting for them.
It's Bruges, yes. It's a Brugge, but not the usual site, the usual site of Brugge, of the old buildings. This is a very modern building. According to John Irving, it is one of the 1,001 buildings you must have seen before you die. So, you've seen the building now?
Goodbye.
But let's enter the building. It's really amazing. I come there each year for this project Eersteklasconcerten, and each time again I'm really blown away. I'm amazed. It's really fantastic.
Wow.
These are the places where Eersteklasconcerten takes place. Can you imagine that these tiny children, 6 years old, entered this building, and then they, that's another location, and this is the concert hall. When they enter here, it's a universe, really. So it's really fantastic, the building. It has such a presence.
And for that population, that's huge.
Yes. That's a picture from the outside. So, Musica, Impulse Center for Music, which is an NGO in Belgium, and Concertgebouw Brugge. Each year we organize Eersteklasconcerten. It's a yearly co-production, and each time we collaborate with another renowned Flemish ensemble. And there is a focus on contemporary composed music, but not always. There is no compromise on the artistic content. So we ask the artists to decide just on a program that makes sense, that has consistency, and we ask them not to bother about the age of the children or the complexity of the music. The only thing that we ask is keep an eye on the timing of the works, because we have a limited amount of time, and children have also a different time experience as adults. And we ask them also that the program would reflect the DNA of the ensemble. And then only after agreeing on the proposed program, only then we start designing the context of the music to happen. So, Eersteklasconcerten, it is a kind of journey which lasts 90 minutes. 90 minutes without interruption, which is a long period of time for 6-year-olds. That's one feature. Another feature of the journey is that we deal with the whole situation without any verbal explanation whatsoever. Nothing. So the children arrive for the musical introduction. There is no explanation. There is no instruction, neither. The children arrive, that's another important feature, the children arrive in big groups of 150. Together with their children, maybe there are 175 people that arrive there, and we don't talk, we don't say anything, not a word. There is a musical introduction, about 5 to 10 minutes long. Then the children split up in 3 groups. They split up already at the beginning because they have colored wrist things. And then there are colors on the floor, so they understand from the situation what should happen. And they split up into 3 groups of 50 people. These 3 stations, as we call them, they are parallel sessions. And after about 20 minutes, the children go to the next session, and there's a kind of carousel going on. At the end, the groups come together again for the final performance, where everyone is involved. Everyone means the children, the classroom teachers, the musica teachers, and the musicians. But with this is the basic idea. We play with this idea. So when you look at the stations, it can be a combination of a workshop and a concert. It can be a concert and a workshop. It can be a workshop and a concert interwoven, or a workshop and a concert overlapping. The performance involving everyone, it can take also very different conformations. Some basic ideas. We treat children as listeners, performers, composers, improvisers all at once, because these are adult concepts. For the children, it makes no sense. And we give the children the conviction that they invented the music by themselves. And that's what we really hear when children are talking to each other, because we don't talk, but of course during the sluice moments, when the children go to the next station, they talk to each other and we hear them whisper, "That's what we just did." When they're listening to the concert, that's what we just did. When designing the journey, we consider the labyrinth, or the journey, as a composition in its own right. So we carefully think about the timing of everything to happen and so on. And it's a kind of performance to which everyone contributes from the beginning till the end. Okay, I like to zoom out always. Mike, he zoomed out when he was talking about these long compositions that would last for hundreds of years, but he watched into the future. I like to zoom out into the past as well. I think that's very interesting in order to find cues for children to feel connected to contemporary composed music. So music in the world today is the extended, spectacularly formalized and complexly perceived systematization of ancient indexical gesture calls, according to Tomlinson. I found this a very inspiring idea. And another concept that Tomlinson uses is the idea of deixis. It's the way you and your cat understand each other's gestures in context. Can you hear it? There's no sound. So this is Henna, the cat. It's my daughter's cat. So what the cat does here, it could be understood as a preliminary musical ability, the same one that is fundamental to our own musicality. Because what my daughter Hannah and the cat Hannah, how they are communicating, it's the same kind of communication as between a mother and a baby. It's by means of deixis, by means of meaning that comes about in context, and that can only be understood in context. Okay, I go on like that. This is my idea of musicality. So I think that musicality is a widespread human behavior or feature that is based on the systemic occurrence of these four elements together. When these four elements occur together, then you have musicality. So it's about listening, it's about communicating, embodying, and audiating. And also the cat was able to embody, to represent all these four features. So this is my idea when I start designing an educational context for working with children. No, it doesn't do anything.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Okay. So, let's have a look at an example. Eersteklasconcerten 2013 with Blindman, which is a Flemish ensemble for contemporary composed music. There was a thread in the whole journey, which was a wooden box as a metaphor for a musical instrument in one station, a sound case in another station, and a treasure case in the third station. And the introduction, because I said we play with all these stations and so on, the introduction was already one of the three compositions that normally are one of the three stations. So we took it out, made the introduction to the composition, and the third station was a complete workshop of 20 minutes. This is the introduction. So this is the first loose moment. The children leave to go to the first station, and we can have a look at three stations that are going on at the same time. This is the first one. This is connected to Pression by Helmut Lachenmann for a cello solo. So this was the preliminary workshop, where some features of the music pop up. At the same time, the second station is going on. And at the same time, the third station is also going on. Okay, now let's have a closer look at the second station, which was at the backstage of the concert hall. This is the workshop around composition of Kaja Sariao. So these are the 50 children around one of the teachers. There are 4 loudspeakers in the room. It's a very spatial experience. And then the children are divided into 4 smaller groups. And on each place they do different things. And after a couple of minutes they make a new carousel. And at this moment they explore elements of the composition of Sariao. And the technician is playing with the spatiality of the music, so let's turn around the sounds. And now you hear the musician, the singer, she joins in. And the workshop and the concert overlap. And when the singer is started the composition, then the children are brought to the concert hall and they take a seat and they start listening to a normal concert. And they have the feeling of that's what we just did. This happened on the backstage of the big concert hall. We opened it up completely. It was completely open. So it was an overwhelming experience, I think. During the concert, which lasts about 10 minutes, sometimes 11 minutes, there is no need to say to the children, shh, or listen. No, they are listening like that. How many time do I have? 3 minutes? Okay, I will... okay, I think the more complex a phenomenon, like music, is the less explanation is needed at first, because children are ready to deal with complexity on their own terms. And I've been thinking about the verb to educate versus the process of education and the role of context and implicit attitudes, because this is an artistic event, of course, but it is a real educational event as well, without any explanation. Maybe we can, and I think that the implicit curriculum is the strongest of all curricula. It's my conviction. Now, to conclude, I'll let you I show you the last version of the works. This was this year's version with the collective. This is the entrance. These are self-made music boxes. What they play are American traditionals, which overlap. Because at the end of the journey, the children will be faced with a trio by piano, violoncello of Charles Ives. And Ives he makes layers of melodies and so on. So that was the basic idea. This is the first workshop where voice and body are disconnected. So these children make the gesture of the sound that these children make. And then after a while it is reversed. And then there is a kind of overlap. This is the beginning of Sequenza 14 by Luciano Berio. And so by means of light and context, we make clear what should happen. That you have to stand up and go and sit in another place. I hear a sound, but it's... This time they even are critics of the music, because they are talking about it. So what we did in the workshop was exaggerating the movements of the cellist. This is the next station, which is Mysterious Adventure by Cage. So they listen to two small fragments, and then they go on to the workshop, where they will play prepared piano themselves, but in an exaggerated manner, as you will see. Okay, so we have 3 pianos like this. Students play the pianos on one side, and on the other side they could prepare the objects. I go on, the next station. This is a piece for violin solo and tape with 4 loudspeakers. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going back a little bit. Here the children join in the composition from the very beginning. And it's a kind of... This composition is an epitaph. A grafrede, is that the right word? Epitaph? And the session ends with a kind of procession of all the children attending a funeral. And then at the end, here's the start of Irving, Charles Ives. And the children keep on playing the music boxes. This is very piano. And you hear the boxes. So, thank you.
So if I understand well, Hans, once you're in the trainer class, you don't get to do that again. You only do this one.
Only in the first class, yeah. That's a principal decision.
It's amazing how many children are involved. Fantastic.
So we do this 3 times a day. So we reach 450 children on one day, and we do this 3 or 4 times a week on one spot. So in Concertgebouw Brugge, we reach almost 2,000 children in 1 week. And the next week we do it in the single in Antwerp.
What?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Nancy's key. Go on.
I'm interested in who is the creative mind behind this? Who shapes the whole experience? And then secondly, how long does this take to prepare
Okay.
with the musician and ensemble?
Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm the mind behind it.
Surprise, surprise.
I'm the mind behind it, and it takes quite a lot of time. Yeah. We take our time because it's important for the ideas to ripen and to carefully decide what will we do, what won't we do, because it should work. There is no other way. We have to, and there is no rehearsal. So we do this without a rehearsal. We do this, we explore, we design this on paper and in our minds, we discuss about it, and then when we come to the spot, and it should happen immediately like that. And that's how it goes.
So you just have discussions with the musicians?
Yes, I involve the musicians. When I propose the first ideas I have, starting from the program, and then I try to involve the musicians. And it depends. Some years the musicians are more involved than other years. Sometimes for the musicians it's sometimes a strange experience because they're not used to play like that for that kind of audience in that kind of circumstances. So they have to become aware about the theatrical context and so on. And for them also it is a big learning process very often.
But since you repeat, because you do it
Each year?
No,
okay.
all on the same day with different groups.
Yeah.
Is there a dynamic and a learning and changing because that sort of didn't work and we can try?
Yeah, of course. So there is a learning process as well. But already the first journey should be very good. And of course,
there.
it will become more supple. The musica teachers and the musicians will react with more confidence to unpredictable situations and so on. Of course, but already from the very first journey, it should be on a higher level. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. That was absolutely fascinating. It looked brilliant. And I just wondered if you could tell us a bit more context about. So for those children, they only experience that once.
Yes.
Are there other opportunities by you or by other people locally so that they can continue to have experiences like that? Because they're just amazing.
Well, for these children, it's only a once in a lifetime experience, I think. They're teachers. They come next year, they come back. 9 out of 10 teachers come back next year, but with different children. And what's interesting is that the teachers, they have a learning process. You see, some teachers in the beginning, when they are new, they tend to talk to the children. It already happened in a very zacht passage.
Oh, in a quiet passage.
In a very quiet passage, it already happened, that one teacher suddenly called, Elisabeth Zwijgen. So, we already encountered that kind of situation. So the teachers are sometimes a problem. They can't stop saying shh, shh, especially in the most quiet passages, and that's very disturbing. So, and we try to prepare the teachers by asking them to do along with the children. And when teachers cooperate with the children, then it works perfectly. But when they try to act like a policeman, then there's a different feel. But we see that many teachers learn about it. And they are sometimes very confused. They don't understand why the children like this kind of event, and they don't understand. But some teachers start to understand more and more year after year. Okay.
I have a question. This is very, very intriguing and very impressive. And I was just wondering how you developed your method. Did you develop that over the years with smaller events, or were there maybe sometimes partial failures? I know it has to be perfect, but anyway, was there something you could say, okay, this didn't work, we learned from that, or how did this happen?
Well, the initial the idea of Eersteklasconcerten already exists, I think, for 12 or even more years. But when I came to Musica, to this organization, I didn't like it, how it happened, because first it was the idea of only 3 stations. No introduction, no overall performance at the end, only 3 stations, and each station consisted even of 2 rooms. One room for the workshop and another room for the concert. And the workshops were with verbal instructions. It was like a normal workshop, but a short one. So the children came in and they were asked to make a circle or do this or do that or whatever. And then the workshop was done after maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and they went to the concert. But I didn't like it, how it went, because I felt there was no connection between the children and the musicians. For instance, I remember a musician who was playing on a marimba, and he had a score like that, and he was playing very virtuoso, and he was reading his score, but he didn't make connection with the children. And then I asked the musicians, please play by heart, whenever possible, and make connection with the children, because just like Hannah and Hannah, they made connection with their eyes, with their body. So it's the same principle. So that was a very basic shift in the whole concept.
Nancy,
I really liked what you said about, I think you were maybe about to say something else, but you eventually said children's experience of time is different or something like that. And I think we very often say the other, which is children don't have very good attention spans. And actually it's a different experience of time. And I think that's a really important principle when planning.
Yes, I think you noticed at the end of the trio of Ives that the children were very attentive, and it was maybe in the 88th minute of the event.
And they were out-Ivesing Ives by having even more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just a fast consideration. If I understood correctly, you've been doing that for 12 years already?
Maybe 15, I think,
15.
something like that.
Did you notice any long-term impact in the audience, in the regular audience of your contemporary music events?
I can't answer that question because these children, they come once in Brugge and then they are gone. I never see them again. So I only work in this Concertgebouw Brugge for this event.
That's the 3rd version of my question. So it's the follow-up that we're all concerned about. That's it, yeah.
But what I notice is that many teachers start exhibit more openness to this kind of music. Yeah. They come with different expectations.
Last question.
Would you consider doing the same concert format for adults?
Yes, we already did it twice for families with children. Parents with primary school children. And it worked very fine, and it was very nice to see the parents and their children cooperate in the workshops, without talk, without explanations, but cooperate on this kind of music. This was very nice to see.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And
And we will do it again in the future.
What about to train you train the trainers?
Yes.
So, can I come see what you do and to try to implement?
Yes. I have a kind of idea about this musicality, these 4 elements, and I have a kind of theory and practical workshops to develop the ideas around these 4 items, and I apply it as well with school teachers in order to convince them that they are more musical than they ever thought of. And I start always the workshop with who thinks he's not musical, and then most fingers rise, and at the end of the workshop, no finger rises anymore.
So you can contact him after the training.
that's big.
We're going to stop there, and Hans, that was absolutely.
I'm sorry for the technical problem.